Welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment, we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations, and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by this guest will help our community. Today, our guest is Kirk Kordelski. Kirk is the chairman of Long Island Association, the largest association in the New York State, and also a president and CEO of Bethpage Federal Credit Union. Let's meet Mr. Kordelski. Welcome, sir. Welcome, Kirk, for taking time.
Thank you, Raj.
Time coming here on the show. First I want to talk to you about, obviously, I know you, but our viewers may not know you. So I would like to find out about you a little bit of your background. I know you're from Virginia, right?
I am. I'm from Washington, D.C. area. Yeah.
Washington, D.C. area, and then you came in '92 here?
I did. I've been here for 20 years.
20 years?
Yep.
So can you give me your background a little bit?
I would love to. I grew up in Washington, D.C., actually Alexandria, Virginia. My family has been there for generations, literally a couple hundred years, my mother's family. So we were deeply rooted. My wife tells the story that when she married me, she thought I'd never leave because my family hadn't left there forever. But I did. I got this great opportunity to come to Long Island. But before that, I had worked at the World Bank International Monetary Fund coming out of college. Actually, while I was at college, it was a part-time teller, and that's how I got into the banking credit union business.
Part-time teller?
Part-time teller. I started out at truly the bottom rung, and it was a great experience. The World Bank, IMF was an extraordinary experience. 70% foreign nationals, recruited from the best universities in the world. So it was just a great interaction of people. As a matter of fact, most of my staff that I worked for in the first few years, I started out as part-time teller, then I became a computer operator of all things, and that's how I started in the technology side of the business. They were using minis at the time, and no one was using. Everyone was afraid of the computer system, so so let me do it. But I learned everybody's job by doing the computer operations, and then I soon became head of that department and some other things. Mm-hmm. And in it was the makeup of the staff was also reflective of the world, and it was just a great experience for me. That's how I got into the credit union business, and did that for 12 years in Washington, D.C. With them, rose to the ranks of a VP, handled technology, backroom operations, check processing, that sort of things, and new projects. And new projects really what brought me here. Then I was offered the executive vice president job, the chief operating officer job at Bethpage in 1992. Came and have spent 20 years here. I rose to the CEO in 2000. And have enjoyed that experience immensely.
Now, you wear multiple hats, obviously. You wear so many hats in a day, but we're going to talk about two hats right now. First hat is that you became a chairman of Long Island Association, and I want to know that, what inspired you to become a chairman of Long Island Association first?
Really, two things. One was that for Bethpage Federal Credit Union, credit unions are these sort of unusual financial institutions. They're cooperatives. And as we grew on Long Island, and we've grown from $950 million in assets when I took over to $5.2 billion in assets, and we evolved into a community institution. And part of that evolution is doing business in the commercial sectors, doing business on small business services, deposits and lendings. And for us, the LIA was the perfect vehicle to make it known that we were out there and that we were a substantial institution. Because most people think of credit unions as retail operations. We are retail operations, that's 90% of our business. But we wanted to expand. So the LIA was a great opportunity to do so. It just so happened at the time, and this has happened across the banking sector on Long Island, that many banks, mid-sized banks, were merged up. And that's what happened in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So there was this opportunity to make a name for ourselves that would not have been there in a previous generation. So we took that opportunity. We started becoming sponsors of events. We took actions on committees. And that's really what pulled me in the most. I was asked to be involved and then chairman of the Housing Committee. And we have seen in our membership, we've seen across Long Island, we see it in our children, the difficulty in finding affordable housing, particularly from 95 to 2005, 2007, before the financial crisis. So as that opportunity came about, I had an opportunity then to chair that and then go on to the executive committee with that as chairman of the Housing Committee. And it meant a lot to me that Matt Crossan at the time took the risk of putting a relatively unknown person on there. I was enthused about it. I became active on the executive committee, and then I became chairman of the search committee, which brought in Kevin Law to the LIA. So it was a great opportunity for Bethpage's business to expand and be better known. The second piece was the LIA has an immense opportunity to change business on Long Island. It can speak for all of businesses, small and large. It has the opportunity to talk about what is best for growth of business on Long Island, what's best for jobs on Long Island. That's a unique set of circumstances to be able to be chairman at that time when the circumstances are that we need to build and we need to grow and we need to grow jobs. Have somebody like Kevin Law, who is a dynamic leader, who's coming into it his own, and the LIA board has been just immensely supportive of both me and Kevin. So it was good timing across the board for us. So good for our business and a great opportunity to influence business on Long Island. And I'm thankful for it.
So that leads me to a question that, what are the three most critical issues that Long Island faces today?
Yeah, from the LIA's perspective and from mine, we have got to move forward on development. So we need to have projects that help us grow, that provide jobs in the building, but jobs for the long term in office space and in retail and in opportunities for housing. So number one is we've got to build and go forward. Number two is we've got to find some affordable housing so that young people, particularly transit-oriented, around the railroad stations that are so opportunistic now. There's such a great opportunity right now to build around those. So that we can have people that come and go for technology businesses and marketing businesses and internet businesses. And lastly, we need to build tax revenue on Long Island. And so building these projects will create avenues to increase the tax base. Because while we have to cut expenses and we have to manage our government expenses, which create the taxes for us better, you can't get there, in my view, by cutting alone. You also have to build this tax base with building larger projects. And there are many out there, the Hub, the Heartland, there's opportunities in Hicksville, there's a new project in Farmingdale, there's a new project in Hempstead. We need to move forward with some of those. I hope and I think that also that will build some pride for Long Island. There are new things going on, new opportunities and growth. So I think all of that works together.
So, basically, you see the problem with young people, or like when we build something, the taxes are, real estate taxes are the key issue here in Long Island. Right. And they're not going to go down because, we don't have any more space. We cannot increase the space. Whatever we have is we have. So what I think is, do you agree with me that if we change the zoning law, that, instead of building like 3-story, we can build 10-story there, or something like city? Would that help, or? It
would help immensely. I think you're exactly right, particularly around the transit hubs, where, and take my favorite space, because it's right near Bethpage, right, which is Hicksville. Hicksville is this wonderful area, which has the best train service into the city. And yet, we're not building facilities near it. And I agree, 5 stories, 6 stories, 8 stories, 10 stories, whatever, whatever makes sense. Right. But we have got to get above 2 and 3 stories, because we're not going to build. The builders can't build it and make money on it, or if they do it, it isn't affordable to the people that need to live there. Right, right. So that's the only way we can increase the tax revenue. Right? It is. Otherwise, another thing is economic development, obviously, which is LI is very much involved. Right. We have got to find ways to make government more efficient. We've got to find. We're going to have to talk about hard decisions about government and the benefit costs and how many governments we need here on Long Island. Right. Those are tougher nuts to crack in these stories, but both are essential. We need both, just like the federal government does, right? It's cutting and revenue.
So do you think that we should have one county instead of two?
I think that any one of three options would be better than what we have today.
Okay.
I think one county versus two.
Okay.
Removal of the towns versus the counties. Have one entity, counties or towns.
Okay.
Or three, divide the counties into villages. This is actually Tom Swazi's idea. I'm stealing it from him. Where each village would still have some strength within it, but it would have the school district, the fire district, and all would be within 10 villages in Nassau County and 20 villages in Suffolk, and I'm just making those numbers up. But a new model in any one of those three that cuts government down to what is effective for costs and effective for business, because that's such a big deal right now. Businesses have to go through too many layers to get anything done. And if we don't find one group of people that are accountable, then we can't identify how to build for the future and go forward. What we do today is we have 10 groups that are accountable,
right,
and then each one of them, a very small group of people, can block wonderful projects that could help Long Island.
That's true. That's absolutely true. You're absolutely right. So that's basically consolidation.
It is consolidation.
I mean, it's a consolidation of, like I live in town of North Hempstead, right? I mean, we've got almost 110 small, special districts.
Right, right.
I mean, 110 special districts. That's a lot of districts.
There are, 135 school districts. There are 15, 18 towns, whatever the number is that goes across Suffolk and Nassau. And each one of those has a bureaucracy, and each one of them has a process. I live in the North Shore School District in Seacliff, and I love the North Shore School District. They're an extraordinary group of people, and they've done wonderful things for my son. But at the end of the day, we've got to find ways to be more effective, or we can't afford these things. And so some plans have to be considered and discussed and be put in motion. If we keep our school districts, because they're near and dear to each of the families that buy houses and move into those neighborhoods, then we have to fix something else. We can't have everything.
Right. Well, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Interviews That Matter. I'm Raj Mehta, and we are having a conversation with Chairman of Long Island Association and President and CEO of Bethpage Federal Credit Union, Kirk Kordelski. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
We were talking about Long Island. Obviously, 20%, as far as I know, that 20% of revenue goes from Long Island to the state. We got a lot of businesses here already doing very well. And at the same time, the common complaint is that we're not getting back. And LIA is, very influential in terms of, politically and, so is there anything you as a chairman and Kevin Law as a president can impress upon the Governor Cuomo to change some of these things?
The difficulty is that the state of New York has its budget challenges as well. The governor has done a fine job over the last couple of years of getting his hands around that, but it's still very difficult. We advocate all the time for more funding, particularly for the school districts, to be reallocated back down here, because we do pay 20% more than we get back.
Right.
But the political environment is such that it's very difficult to move those. So you move it incrementally. It's one of the reasons why having the state Senate stay Republican, and this is not a political position, this is a business position, is so important to us, because Dean Skelos and the 9 senators, which are Republican on Long Island, have influence in that case, and then we can get more of that percentage to come back to us when we have a voice for Long Island.
I agree with you. I mean, I think, I hope that Republican stays majority in Senate, because if it is one way, everything one way, then it becomes so like a monopoly kind of thing.
And sadly,
you need some difference, especially for Long Island.
And again, this isn't a political statement, but it becomes very city-centric, and then the funds that might come to us do not come to us.
Right, yeah. Okay, so, obviously, we talked about Bethpage Federal Credit Union, that you've taken the institution from $950 million to like $5 billion.
That is correct.
how did you do that? I mean, I like to know this. This is for my personal benefit also.
Yeah, there are really a couple things that have happened. One was our strategy, and the other was the environment that we were in.
Okay.
From our strategy perspective, credit unions are pure cooperatives. They are owned by their members. There aren't outside stockholders. Mm-hmm. With that comes some significant advantages. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, you plan for the long run. You really are able to invest in what is best for the owners of the company, which are the members, the customers. Mm-hmm. You are able to not take on risks when other financial institutions do. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons we've done so well over the last 4 years, we've had record income in this financial crisis, mm-hmm. is that we didn't take risks in 2004, 2005, 2006 that other similar sized banks would have, mm-hmm. because their stockholders would have demanded it. Mm-hmm. So being a cooperative, not having outside stockholders is mm-hmm. key to strategy. Mm-hmm. It's also key on a quarterly basis. You're not reporting to the market, and with that, if your income isn't quite as high as another organization, the pressure isn't there to change. Mm-hmm. And that served us well. Mm-hmm. In that cooperative environment, we provide the best rates in the market and really world-class service. We use J.D. Power as an organization called Net Promoter, number 4 nationally in the level of service we provide. And we have the best rates. If you can provide the best rates and world-class service, and you can grow your convenience, you can do a lot of business. Particularly in the mid-market sector that we live in. Mm-hmm. We grew up as the credit union for Grumman. We're 70 years old. Right. 50 years of that was for the Grumman Corporation. And we serve really the same people now across Long Island that we used to serve in Grumman, the white and blue collar employees. So we provide a great price. That leads to more relationships, leads to trust and growth. The other, though, is something that we talked about a little bit earlier, is that most mid-sized banks were merged away in the 95 to 2005 sector. Mm-hmm. Great banks, EAB, Roslyn, et cetera, were merged up into other financial institutions. And when they were, they opened a space up for us to grow. And so we had this ingrained opportunity because we were cooperative and we had advantages that go with being a cooperative. Mm-hmm. And then the market opened up for us, and we happened to be at the right place at the right time.
So viewer, any of our viewer may have some benefits over a normal bank going to the credit union, that they are kind of a member and they're the owners, and therefore they can get a better rates and everything, and these are the major benefits?
Right. The major benefits, as it would be if you were a food cooperative or any other type of cooperative you might have heard of or been involved in, were just bigger. Mm-hmm. But with that comes the best price. Without having outside stockholders, we don't pay taxes. Mm-hmm. That benefit goes right to the marketplace. So we have the best dividend rates in the marketplace, and we have the best loan rates in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Lowest fees. We guarantee free checking for life. Given what's happened in the market and financial institutions for the last year, mm-hmm.
For
checking, that's a hard thing to find. Mm-hmm. So that's where the value comes in. Mm-hmm. What happens is then you come in and you find that you're treated friendly, mm-hmm. professionally. That relationship grows. About 60% of our business comes from referrals, and so we have some of the lowest attrition rates in the country for financial institutions, and it's all for those same reasons.
So then, obviously you offer the latest technology also, because right now, I don't have to go to bank. I mean, I just deposit my checks right from here. And same thing, right. Bethpage Federal Credit Union offers. And
we have remote deposit capture, which you can take whether it is a scanner on your PC at home, mm-hmm. or whether it is on your mobile phone, and take a picture of the check and send it into us. Online banking gives you anything you need, any information you need to access your account. You can open a new account online, and you can transfer or do any transactions. And so most of the daily transactions, mm-hmm. are shifting now to electronic means.
Right.
Branches still live and exist to do mortgage loans and home equities and small business services.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest business is what, like mortgages or?
The biggest business for the last 4 years on the lending side has been refinance mortgages.
Refinancing, okay.
The biggest on the deposit side has been the growth in checking accounts, and then the normal savings vehicles, money markets and certificates.
Our viewers are from Southeast Asia, right? So yes, that includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and there are many business people, many of our professional doctors, and I'm sure you come across many people also from So what are your general view on our community?
We've spent some time with the Hofstra Suburban Studies Group in studying three really different segments of Long Island over the last few years. Latino population, the Asian population, and a younger population, and what their service needs are, their financial services needs, and their business needs are. We specifically looked at those markets because they are the growing markets on Long Island. They're very different, obviously, but we think that the market that you represent, this television show represents, is a well-educated, hard-working, business-oriented, savings-oriented, family-oriented environment, which is a perfect fit for a credit union. That's what we have done on Long Island. That's how we serve. We are part of the community. We give back. We're very, we're in the Bethpage, Levittown, Hicksville area, and so we think that our cooperative spirit and our community spirit fits very well into the community. And that's what we've been researching on how to best do that and move forward.
And I know that last 10 years or 15 years, the Long Island minority population has grown tremendously on Long Island. And I also want to ask you, as the chairman of Long Island Association, that you're making all efforts to include minority businesses as in your leadership as well as in the membership. I mean, are you?
We have an active process going on. I think you and I spoke about this last time we were together, of recruiting board members. We've expanded our board from 60 to 70 to be able to do that, and because we need to be more diverse. We need diversity in many ways too. Not only in people, but also in types of businesses. And it's time to change that, and we're actively recruiting for those jobs now, for those positions now. Additionally, the Small Business Committee and the operational committees of the LIA are putting together the strategies to affect and to be more active than we have been over the last 2 or 3 years. We've spent the last couple of years of the LIA trying to sort of moving forward on our strategies. It's now time to reach all the size businesses.
Right. Okay. Well, we are almost coming to the end, and if you want to give your final message to the viewers.
My message is that I'm thrilled to be here. Bethpage Federal Credit Union is excited. We don't get these opportunities very often. As we've grown up over the last few years, it's unique for us to be able to be on TV and to be interviewed. But to the community at large, Bethpage Credit Union, all credit unions, but Bethpage in particular, is just an extraordinary place to do business. You check it out. You'll see best rates. You'll see a different level of service. For those who are affected by the storm, we have some special products to help you through and get through it. Check us out. We're there to help. For all of Long Island, we think Long Island has a great future. That's why we're invested here. That's why we won't be leaving here. We've been here for 70 years, and we'll be here for the next 70 years. We will not only rebuild from the storm, but we will go on from this economic crisis and we'll be successful. And we look forward to being here for a long time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you can email me at rajmitv@gmail.com. Again, it's rajmitv@gmail.com. And you can also watch our prior events or prior air shows on YouTube on our channel at youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, this is Raj Mehta. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you.